Good evening, students. Till now, we have discussed the respiratory disease for pathology. It is for pathology. BSc Nursing second year students. The respiratory system chapter. Now we are going to discuss the new disease of the respiratory system, that is the chronic obstructive pulmonary disease. So, chronic obstructive pulmonary disease. The chronic obstructive pulmonary disease, shortly known as COPD, is a disease which is characterized by airflow limitation that is not fully reversible. Means here it is an umbrella term in which the chronic bronchitis, bronchial asthma, bronchiectasis and emphysema will come. And here the characterization of this disease is the airflow limitation is very not fully reversible. It is a group of pathological conditions. It has many conditions of pathologically which are chronic, partial or complete obstructions to the airflow. Means it is an umbrella term having the pathological conditions of disease like which will be chronic also, partial also or complete obstruction to the airflow at any level from trachea to the smallest airway, resulting in functional disability of the lungs. Means it can occur in any part of the lungs or in the tracheal part. Then the four main conditions included in chronic obstructive pulmonary disease are chronic bronchitis, emphysema, bronchiectasis and bronchial asthma. All these things we will discuss in detail. So firstly we will discuss about the chronic bronchitis. Chronic bronchitis. The chronic bronchitis is a condition associated with excessive trachea bronchial mucus production sufficient to cause cough with expectoration for a period of at least 3 months. So here what happens, it is a disease which has excessive trachea bronchial mucus production which cause the production of cough with expectorant for at least 3 months. So here the very much formation of that will occur, mucus production will be occur, excessive mucus production in the tracheal bronchial pathway, and it will cause a cough with expectoration. So what are the etiological factors? The etiological factors are cigarette smoking, because it will cause the emphysema and chronic bronchitis. Cigarette smoking can lead to impairment of ciliary movement, inhibit of functions of macrophages, hypertrophy of mucus secretion gland, mucus secreting gland will be enlarged in size, and bronchoconstriction will occur. Second is pollution. Atmospheric pollutants increase the risk of development of chronic bronchitis such as sulfur dioxide, nitrogen dioxide, particulate matter and toxic fumes. Then infection like viral, bacterial, mycoplasmal occurring secondary to the bronchitis and can predispose to the exacerbation. So here we will see the pathophysiology of the COPD. Before further progressing the chronic bronchitis, we will see the pathophysiology of the of the COPD. So here we are seeing that the COPD is having 4 diseases including chronic bronchitis, emphysema, bronchiectasis and bronchial asthma. Pathophysiology means how the COPD will occur. Causes we have already seen. Etiology, that is the smoking and other air pollutant materials. So these will be the risk factor. Means etiology will be the causes like cigarette smoking, air pollution, infection, occupational exposure or alpha trypsin. These all things are the risk factors which may cause the COPD disease. It may cause the infection. So risk factor will lead to the risk factor to the infection, then it will affect the bronchial tree, and then what will happen? The bronchial tree will be affected, then the mucus secretion will be increased. So let's see again, the cigarette smoking, air pollutant infections will increase the chances of infection. As we have seen, through this all the material will go inside the smoke, or in the form of liquid only they will go, and they will cause infection. Then they will do the affecting the bronchial tree in which the bronchioles are there. So through which the mucus secretion will be increased, and then it will cause a mucus clotting obstruction. So the alveoli will also start to be being blocked, and the bronchial tree will be also having the pathway connecting to the lungs, that will also be blocked. So the airway space will be decreased and lungs will become smaller. So lung function will be also decreased, and sign and symptoms will be, as the air is going in and out of through bronchioles from trachea, if that holes will be closed, so airway space will be decreased, so lung functions will be also decreased. Sign and symptoms will appear like coughing, grey, white, yellow sputum, tachypnea due to hypoxia, weight gain due to edema, and productive cough. Edema, that is the collection of sputum only, that will cause the edema or pus. Again, let's see once again, pathophysiology of COPD in short. The risk factor like cigarette smoking, air pollutant infection, alpha trypsin occupational exposure will lead to the infection, that will cause the bronchial tree affecting. Then it will increase the mucus secretion, that will cause the mucus clotting obstruction, which will decrease the air space, and then the decreased lung function will be seen, and signs and symptoms will be coughing, grey, white, yellow sputum, tachypnea due to hypoxia, productive cough, etc. So up to here we have seen. Now we are going to discuss about the chronic bronchitis. Chronic bronchitis. So it is a disease, already I told, of having excessive tracheal bronchial mucus production with sufficient to cause cough with expectoration for a period of at least 3 months to and 2 or more consecutive years. Physiological factor only seen, it is seen in middle-aged women and then females. Now let's see the further part. Pathological changes. What pathological changes will be seen here? The pathological changes which will be seen in the bronchitis, not bronchitis, it is bronchitis. In bronchitis, the collection of pus will be there, and in bronchitis, the dilations of the alveolar surface will be there. Bronchioles will be occur. So, coming to the bronchitis, bronchial wall is thickened, grossly hyperemic and edematous. Presence of mucus plug in bronchi and bronchioles will be there. As the pus collection will occur, the obstruction of air will be there. So definitely there will be collection of mucus plug in the bronchi and bronchioles. And due to this only the edematous things will also take place in the bronchioles. If we see microscopically, then hypertrophy and hyperplasia, mainly the hypertrophy. Hypertrophy, already I told that there will be increase in the size of the cell, and hyperplasia with submucosal cells will be seen. So hyperplasia will be due to the physiological response of specific stimuli, and the cells of hyperplastic organ will remain subject to the normal regulatory control mechanism. So hyperplasia, we can see the number of cells will increase, which will cause the number of size of organ, and hypertrophy, the cell size will be increased, causing the organ increase of the lung, but there will be no increase in number. So here both things will take place, means increase in number of the cells with increase in size, and increase in size with increase in organ. So submucosal gland will occur of hyperplasia and hypertrophy in cartilage containing large airways, which is assessed by increased Reid index. The Reid index, it is the ratio between the thickness of submucosal gland to that of the bronchial wall. In non-cartilage containing small airways, there is goblet cell hyperplasia and intraluminal and peribronchial fibrosis. So if we will talk about the non-cartilage containing small airway, so goblet cell hyperplasia will take place there, and in the intraluminal part also fibrosis may occur. Clinical manifestation, let's see. Here hyperplasia and hypertrophy will occur in the cartilaginous area, which are having large airway, and in non-cartilaginous small airway hyperplasia will occur through goblet cell. That should be remembered, and fibrosis also occur. Manifestation, clinical manifestation will include features of predominant bronchitis, copious grey, white, yellow or yellow sputum, as I already told, sputum or purulent discharge, exudates, all these are the symptoms of the respiratory tract infections. So copious grey, white, yellow or yellow sputum due to hypersecretion of goblet cells, as we have seen that there will be secretion of goblet cells in the non-cartilaginous part. So the copious grey or white, yellow or yellow sputum will be there due to hypersecretion of goblet cells. Then productive cough will be there through the expectorate, mucus produced by lung. Here the much more mucus is produced, so productive cough will be there. Dyspnea due to airflow obstruction. As airflow obstruction is there, so dyspnea will also occur. Then patients are called blue blotters due to cyanosis related to diminished oxygenation. Means here the patients are called as blue blotters because cyanosis will occur due to the diminished air supply in the lungs. Then use of accessory muscles for breathing, as the obstruction has occurred and decreased function of lungs are there, so it will also cause the use of accessory muscles for breathing. Tachypnea will occur due to hypoxia. Pedal edema due to right side heart failure will occur. Weight gain due to edema will occur. Edema because of excessive mucus secretion production. Weight gain. Then wheezing due to air moving through narrowed respiratory passage, as the air passage is blocked, so very narrow space is there for the air to flow in and out, so it will produce a wheezing sound. And then pulmonary hypertension will also occur. Now the next condition we'll discuss is the emphysema. What is emphysema? Emphysema is the condition of lung characterized by abnormal permanent enlargement of the air spaces distal to terminal bronchioles, accompanied by destruction of walls of the dilated air spaces. In emphysema, the lungs characterized by abnormal permanent enlargement, means here the lungs are permanent enlarged. Here the dilation of airway will occur. Most important thing to be remembered in emphysema is the dilation of airway will occur beyond the terminal bronchioles. So characterized by abnormal permanent enlargement of air spaces distal to terminal bronchioles. Means the terminal part of the bronchioles, till there it will increase the lungs, and accompanied by destruction of the walls of the dilated air spaces. And here the destruction will occur by the dilated walls of the air spaces. What are the causes through which it occurs? Etiopathogenesis. Some common causes of emphysema and bronchitis. Bronchitis and emphysema, common causes can be tobacco smoke, air pollutant exposure, occupational exposure, infection, familial and genetic influence. And the major etiological factors involve the pathogenesis of emphysema, alteration in the balance of proteases and antiproteases, serum alpha-1 antitrypsin, enzyme action in lungs, alpha-1 antitrypsin alpha-1 protease inhibitor, which is a glycoprotein synthesized in liver and is present in serum. Then tissue fluid and macrophages is a major inhibitor of protease, mainly elastase, secreted by neutrophils during inflammation. Means alpha-trypsin is also the cause, which is a glycoprotein synthesized in liver, and it is a major inhibitor of the proteases during inflammation, which is secreted by neutrophils. So if it is inhibited, then the chances of infection will occur more. Then the mechanism of alveolar destruction in emphysema. How the alveolar destruction will occur? Here the picture is not yet clear, but I will make it elaborate in clear words. So here the mechanism of alveolar destruction in emphysema, how it occurs. Firstly, there will be the mechanism of alveolar wall destruction. There will be alveolar wall destruction due to this decreased anti-elastase activity or deficiency of alpha-1 antitrypsin. So there will be decreased elasticity and alpha-1 trypsin will be increased, as I told earlier only, that it will help what? It will help in the neutrophil development, and it will be inhibited. It will not help, it will inhibit the neutrophil development during inflammation. That is the alpha-1 antitrypsin. So second mechanism of alveolar wall destruction is due to decreased alveolar wall destruction is only in emphysema, we have seen earlier only. Decreased anti-elastase activity, elastic capacity will be decreased, deficiency of alpha-1 antitrypsin, then it will lead to the increased activity of elastase. See, the decreased anti-elastase activity is due to deficiency of alpha-1 antitrypsin. If alpha-1 antitrypsin is present, then the anti-elastic capability of the alveolar wall will increase. But if it is in less amount, so what will happen? That will cause the increased activity of elastase if it is in deficient. So it will cause the increased activity of elastase, and that will cause increased infiltration of neutrophils in lungs, causing excessive neutrophil elastase. The same thing, in short, we can understand that alveolar wall destruction occurs due to the deficiency of alpha-1 trypsin, and alpha-1 trypsin if deficient, that it will cause the activity of increased elasticity, and neutrophils increase will be there, as it has the inhibiting property of neutrophil. Neutrophil elastase has the capacity of digesting lung parenchyma, whose action is inhibited by anti-elastase or antitrypsin. That I already told. Then in homozygous patients with a genetic deficiency of alpha-1 antitrypsin, the protease inhibitor PI locus is generally abnormal. The normal phenotype in homozygous is PI MM, And the most common abnormal phenotype in classic alpha-1 antitrypsin deficiency is PIZ. That's not of use. The patient who are heterozygous PIMZ does not produce clinical symptom, but if they smoke, they have high risk of emphysema. Means a homozygous patient, the genetic deficiency of alpha-1 is there, so it is genetically abnormal to be seen in the homozygous patient. But in the heterozygous patient, the high risk of emphysema can be seen. Let's see the pathological changes. The pathological changes in emphysema are: grossly, the lungs appear voluminous, pale, with rounded edges. Means here the lungs will appear as voluminous as there is excessive dilation of the air beyond the terminals of the bronchi. So here what will happen? Lung will have voluminous air as air is obstructed, less flow of air, and there will be the edges will be pale, rounded edges. This is dilation of airway beyond the terminal bronchioles causing all these things. Mild cases show one more thing I want to say that the pale round edges will be due to the group of the peripheral area dilated. That is why it's having the round edges. Dilation is occurring again due to the obstructions of air. Mild cases show dilation of air spaces, while in severe cases there is presence of subpleural bullae or air-filled cyst-like bubble which is less than 1 cm in diameter. Blood bulging outward from the surface of the lungs resulting from the rupture of alveoli directly in the subpleural interstitial tissue. Means we can say that firstly the lungs will have voluminous, pale, rounded edge, and mild cases show dilation of air space, while in severe cases there is presence of subpleural bullae, and that will bulge towards the outside, causing the increase in the size. Microscopically we can see the dilation of air spaces will be there, and the destruction of septal wall between the alveolar space will be there and causing the acinus involved. So we have seen the two images. First one is the emphysema grossly, how it looks. So here we are seeing the same thing. Lung is voluminous. In diagram it is not clearly shown, but it having rounded edges, and air spaces are also there. In microscopy we have seen that air spaces are dilated and septal wall is of the acinus part is involved here. This is the bigger dilation of air vacuole. Now let us see the classification. The classification of emphysema according to the acinus involved is subdivided into 5 types. 5 types. Acinus, the same thing we have seen in the septal formation. So it is divided as centriacinar or centrilobular emphysema, panacinar or panlobular emphysema, then paraseptal emphysema, means distal acinar, then irregular parasicatrical emphysema, and mixed or unclassified emphysema. So what are the types of emphysema we have seen? Centriacinar, panacinar, paraseptal, irregular, and mixed. Mixed is also called as unclassified. Irregular is called as parasicatrical. Paraseptal is distal. Pana means panalobular, centriacinar or centrilobular. Mainly 3 is most important, that is centrilobular, panlobular, and paraseptal or distal acinar, and the mixed unclassified. The centriacinar emphysema is the commonest type and involves the initial respiratory bronchioles, that is the central or proximal part of the acinus of the upper lobe or the lungs, and usually seen in the coal mines, pneumoconiosis, and smokers. And Panacea emphysema, it's a common type and involves all portion of the acinus. Means in central only the central portion or proximal part is involved, initial part, and in Panacea the all the part of the acinus are affected and have the lower lobe. Here the upper lobe of the lung is affected in the central acinar, and paracinar the Panacea the lower lobe, and it is seen with the patient with an alpha antitrypsin deficiency and smokers. Paraseptal or distal acinar or emphysema have the distal part of the acinus. Then irregular parapsychiatrical emphysema is seen around the scars from any cause. Mixed or unclassified emphysema is their more severe involvement, which is represented by more than one type of emphysema. Clear distinction cannot be made, usually seen in elderly smokers. Now let us see the clinical features. What are the clinical features? The clinical features of the emphysema are predominant emphysema, slowly increasing severe exertional dyspnea with use of accessory muscles of respiratory, hyperresonant and a barrel-shaped chest, cough associated with scanty mucoid discharge, patients called pink puffers as they remain well oxygenated, and patients with tachypnea, complications of core pulmonale, right-sided heart failure and hypercapnic respiratory failures can be seen in the patient. Again, let's see. Slowly increasing severe exertional dyspnea will be there. Means slowly the breathing problem will occur as a large state, and there will be involvement of the accessory muscle. Then chest will be barrel shaped. Then cough associated with mucoid discharge will be there, and then patient with pink puffers will be seen. The next thing which we are going to discuss are the etiopathogenesis of the emphysema. This already we have seen. Pathophysiology of emphysema. That is how it occurs. So risk factor only we have seen, that is tobacco, smoke, air pollutants, occupational exposure, infections, familial and genetic influence, etc. All these are the risk factors. It causes a weakening of walls or damage of walls. So what will happen here? Mostly the dilation of air spaces will occur, so alveoli will occur, so damage of walls will be there. Weakening of wall, that is why pink color is formed. Damage of wall, then there will be increased lung pressure, air pressure inside the lungs. Then dilation will occur. Dilation, then there will be the change in air developed due to bronchial tree or respiratory airway, or gas exchange by respiratory cell will be occur. Then there will be decreased respiration or cardiovascular function. Then there will be sign and symptoms will appear, that we have already discussed. The sign and symptoms will be the purulent cough, and then the other things, patchy appearance, pink yellow color will be there, and predominant emphysema have cough associated with scanty mucoid discharge, pink puffers will be there, right side heart failure will be seen here, and barrel shaped chest will be there, dyspnea will be there. So let's see again. Pathophysiology of emphysema. Risk factor like tobacco, smoke, air pollutants, occupational exposure, infection, familial or genetic influence will cause the weakening walls or damage of the walls. Then it will cause the increase in the pressure of the air inside the lungs, which will cause a dilation. As the air obstruction will occur, so the air cannot go outside and walls will be weakened. So pressure will be there, dilation of air walls will be occurring, then there will be change in air. Due to dilation, gas change can be occurred by respiratory cells or through bronchial trees. Then there will be decreased respiration. Carbon dioxide gas can come inside, or oxygen can go outside. Tissue cell changes will occur. Then gas exchange will occur. Then there will be decreased respiration due to obstruction of airway, and cardiovascular function will be also decreased as the walls are dilated, so blood flow will be very less, and then the signs and symptoms will be appearing of the emphysema. Some pictures of emphysema I want to show. We can see the pleural surface left demonstrate the thick yellow purulent exudate, and the pleural cavity is filled with the purulent exudate. This is a emphysema. So here you have seen the emphysema, the causes. This is of emphysema, not of the emphysema. Just chest cavity. The chest cavity is opened. Here we can see the dilation of alveoli. See, the alveoli are dilated here. So let's see. The chest cavity, that is the thoracic area, is opened at autopsy. Autopsy means postmortem. If postmortem of a dead body is done, so the chest cavity is opened, and here we can see the numerous large bullae apparent to the surface of lungs in the patient dying with emphysema. Bullae, here bubbles are, we can see. What is bullae? Bullae are large dilated air spaces that bulge out from beneath the pleura. Means pleural membrane which is covering the lungs, having visceral layer and parietal layer. So in that the bullae area are formed between the lungs and the pleura, and that cause the dilation of the air wall and air spaces, so it bulges out from beneath the pleura. And then emphysema is characterized by a loss of lung parenchyma by destruction of alveoli. There will be destruction of alveoli will occur, so that there is permanent dilation of air spaces with loss of elastic recoil. So the characterization will be only the lung parenchyma will be lost due to destruction of alveoli, so permanent dilation of air spaces will be occur, and elasticity will be also decreased. Here we are seeing the elasticity will decrease due to the alpha trypsin. Here also the cut section of lungs is there, and the dilated air spaces, you can see the dilated air spaces, filled air spaces are there with emphysema are seen. Although there tends to be some scarring with time, scars can also appear here, scars, because of superimposed infections which occur after an infection. Before an infection has occurred, again one infection occurs, so it will cause the superimposed infection, or from that infection any other infection occur, that may also lead to superimposed infection. So some scars will be appeared due to that. So dilated air spaces can also be seen. The emphysematous process is one of the loss of the lung parenchyma, but it is not causing the fibrosis. That we have to remember. There are two types here. Only two types is shown, but I told you the four types. Then here you can see dilated air spaces, dilated alveoli and obstructed air spaces. This is more subtle appearance of centrilobular emphysema. In centrilobular emphysema, there is dirty holes that appear focally where the central portions of the lungs acini have lost the parenchyma. In central portion of the lung which have lost the parenchyma, there will be dirty holes will be appearing focally in the central portions of the lung acini and have lost the lung parenchyma while collecting the anthoracic pigment at the same time. This pattern is typical for smokers. It's seen in smoking only, like sponge-like. Smokers have greater number of neutrophils and macrophages in their alveoli. As alpha-trypsin is present, so neutrophils will be less. But if it is absent, so the neutrophils will be more and macrophages will be more due to smoking only. Smoking irritates alveolar macrophages, which in turn release neutrophil chemotactic factors such as interleukin 8, thus recruiting neutrophils. In addition, nicotine is chemotactic for neutrophils, and smoke can activate the alternative complement pathway and inflammatory cascade. Proteases, particularly elastase, are secreted by these neutrophils and macrophages. Proteases are enzymes that are capable of digesting lung tissue. These chemicals are responsible for damage seen in emphysema, oxidants and free radicals in smoke. Also inhibit the alpha-1 antitrypsin circulating in the lungs that protect alveoli from proteases. Chronic irritation by smoke can lead to chronic emphysema. So we have seen this. Microscopically we can see, I told you about the emphysema, that microscopically the emphysema will be the dilation of the air spaces will be there and destruction of septal wall will be there of the part of the axis where it is involved. So these are the large air vacuoles are formed. So alveolar walls have lost the emphysema. The alveolar walls have been lost or breaking due to emphysema, due to dilation, and the air spaces are being dilated here. So the next part I will discuss in the next section. Till now I have discussed about the emphysema, types of emphysema, sign and symptoms or clinical manifestation of emphysema, then how the alveolar destruction mechanism takes place in emphysema, and then the pathogenesis of emphysema. So thank you.